G'day guys and welcome back to another One Piece deck profile. Today we're having another look at Zoro and we're looking at an updated version since we've had the ban list or restriction and limited list come out, which hit some cards that we were playing in our previous version, but not too many big changes from that previous version in the version that we're going to be looking at today. It still has a pretty good matchup into everything. And this build is more of that, still that mid-range kind of control-y play style right there. So you can have a very grindy long game, and your chances definitely do go up of winning the longer that you go with some of the techs that we've got in here. But you can also quite easily just spam out a bunch of weenies and rush down your opponent as well. Now, for those of you that don't know Zoro's effect, maybe your first time looking at a Zoro deck profile, Zoro's effect is a Don times 1. All of your characters gain 1000 power for the turn, which is super nice. So red leader 5000 power, fairly standard there, and buffing everything by 1 is really nice. Makes maths really good for you in terms of swinging out into your opponent. Makes maths difficult for them as well, so we can't complain with that there at all. First up, we're going to have a look at our searches, what makes this deck really nice and consistent. The first searcher that we're going to have a look at is a full playset of Izo. So Izo is one cost, 2000 body, 1000 counter. On play, you're going to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal something that has Whitebeard Pirates other than itself, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So with Izo, there's a total of 20 Whitebeard Pirate type cards in the deck, so Izo can't search itself, so 14 targets for Izo to search there. We do also run just 2 of the Whitebeard Pirates searcher cards, so it also costs you 1. The main effect is basically the same as Izo, except you can only search characters, you can't search events with this card here. The trigger is to activate the same effect as the main. So with Whitebeard Pirates, you have 18 targets that you can search with Whitebeard Pirates there. Now, we were running more copies of this in our previous builds and iterations of this, but it was feeling more like a dead card in hand than anything else when we were seeing a bunch of them when we had all our pieces there. So dropping down to 2 has been working well for us with just the 2. Next up for our searches, we are running a full playset of Buggy. So Buggy is 1 cost, 3000 power. On play, look at the top 5, reveal 1 red event, add it to your hand, place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So searches all our events. There's a total of 11 events in this build right here. All of them are fairly defensive options. There's a couple in there that kind of used as some finishes. So Buggy is really good to help you to survive long term with those events there. And Buggy actually has a really great effect that it can't be KO'd by slash attribute characters. So in the mirror, it's fantastic. There's a fair few slash characters running around right now, so Buggy can be quite handy, just super annoying to remove. And it is a 3000 body as well, which is a lot nicer than Izo, because you only need to pop 1 Don underneath Buggy when you have Zoro's effect live to be able to swing into your leader. So some great pressure can be applied from Buggy there. The final searcher that we are running a full playset of Curly Dadan. So Curly is a 2 cost, 3000 body, 1000 counter. On play, look at the top 5, reveal 1 red, 1 cost character to your hand, and then place the rest of the bottom deck in any order. So there are 19 targets for Dadan. So our searchers have a lot of targets. Buggy has the smallest, but he's just a really good card to have right now for the meta with all these slash goodies running around. But yeah, this is what makes this deck super consistent, all these searchers right here. Next up, we're going to have a look at some of the removal cards that we have. The first up, we're playing a full playset of Marco. So Marco is a 5 cost, 6000 body, 1000 counter. Your turn on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a 3000 power or less. So really nice to remove some smaller bodies there. There are some cards we'll look at in a second which can make that a little bit higher there. The next removal card that we're running 2 Vistas. So Vista basically has the same on-play effect as Marco there. To KO something with 3000 power or less, just costs you 3 instead of the 5. The great thing about Marco as well, which I forgot to mention, is the on KO effect. So when it gets KO'd, you can trash an event from your hand to bring it back in a rested position. So you can easily get rid of events that you may not need for certain matchups to keep him alive. And sometimes it's just worthwhile even getting rid of a good event to keep him on board to help you have good ball control or help you win the very next turn. Now, to help our removal cards have a bit more oomph, because 3000 is not that massive, it is really good into things lore and like the mirror match, but other matches is not a whole lot that you're going to be hitting. So to help us with that, we're running full playset of Otama. So Otama is 1 cost, 0 power body, 2000 counter, which is really nice to see in hand if we're not going to use the on-play effect. But the on-play effect is you can minus something by 2000 power. So you can kill things with 5000 with both your Vista and your Marco for just 1 extra Don, which is really nice. Have multiple of them, you're adding another 2k on there. The next card that we're running just 3 of the promo Gordon. So it's really good to see this one because it is basically like Otama, but you're doing 3000 instead of 2000. So the effect is not an on play. So to an activate main, you may place this character at the bottom of your deck, give something minus 3000 power for the turn. So it is a once-off thing like Otama, but if there's an off chance you see the last card in your deck, we add some other things to the bottom after this. You can see this multiple times in a game. Doesn't really happen, but there is a possibility for it to happen. And both the Gordon and the Otama are searchable off the Dadan, so which is really nice. And your Vistas and your Marcos are searchable off your Ezos and your Whitebeard Pirates. Right, we'll now have a look at our defensive options that we have for the deck. We are running just 1 Marco from OP03 because we can only run 1. 4 cost, 5000 body, 1000 counter. It is a blocker. On KO, you may trash 1 card with Whitebeard Pirates from your hand to bring it back rested, but you can only do that if you have 2 or less life. So sometimes it's only worth bringing out Marco when you're at that 3 or 2 life, because sometimes your opponent will just want to remove it so you can't get that recurring effect there, so just keep that in mind. We are running 2 more blockers as well. We're running 2 Fossas. So Fossa is a 2 cost, 2000 power body, 1000 counter. Blocker is a Whitebeard Pirate, so it is searchable off your Ezo and your Whitebeard Pirate searcher. The reason why we go with Fossa, there's a couple other Whitebeard blockers that we can go with, but Fossa has a counter which is very, very valuable to us. The next card we used, which is mainly just used for defense, is we're running 3 copies of Jozu. So Jozu is a 2000 counter, which is the main reason why we're running the deck. It is a Whitebeard Pirate, so searchable one right there. Sometimes you may want to play it for 4 to get that 4000 body on board. Maybe sometimes you just need an extra body, so that can be quite nice there. Otherwise, it's mainly used for the 2k counter. The main effect we can't activate because our leader is not a Whitebeard Pirates type, so don't need to worry about the effect there. Now we're going to move on to our events that we use for defense. So first one, we're running 1 Radical Beam because we can only run 1. Cost you 1, buffs something by 2000, but then if you have 2 or less life, buff something by 4000 instead. Next up, we are running 2 Gum 5 Fist Pistol Red Hawk, the mouthful of all events. So cost you 2, it is a counter. Something gains 4000, which is really nice. Then you get to KO something with 4000 power or less, which is also really nice. So a bit of counter and removal, really good to have there. The trigger for this one is you can give one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 10,000 power for the turn, which is absolutely huge. Sometimes that just comes in clutch to help you survive one more turn so that you can claim the victory. Rad Beams trigger, which I forgot to mention, was just gives something 1000 power buff for the turn. The last of the events that we are running for defense, we are running a full playset of Guard Point. So Guard Point costs you 1, buff something by 3000. Really, really nice to have. Really Don efficient, which is really good. And its trigger is the same as Radical Beam, buff something by 1000 for the turn. So both those are important to remember. It's just for the turn, not just for the attack that goes on into life. So yeah, you can mess around with your opponent with some extra Don that they need to use that they weren't prepared for. So that can sometimes just save you and win your games that way. All right, next up, we're going to have a look at our tech cards that we are running. First of all, we are running a full playset of Markino. So Markino is a 2k counter, really good to see in hand. Cost you 1. The effect is activate main. You may arrest this character, buff one cost character by 3000, which is absolutely insane. So you can buff all your searches apart from Dadan. You can also buff your Otama. You can buff another one of them if you have them on the field there. So that can win your games really nicely. The next one that we are running 2 copies of Marshall D Teach. So 4 cost, 6,000 body, no counter. When attacking, you may trash one of your red characters with 4,000 power or more, draw 1 card, then this character gains 1,000 during this battle. So when attacking, if you just kill one of your own things, you're swinging for 7,000, which is really nice, and you get to draw, so you get to find some missing pieces, maybe draw an extra counter to help you survive the next turn. This card is really good into Whitebeard just because you can buff yourself quite easily. Next card that we are running is actually the only card in the deck that is not searchable. We are running 2 of our favorite boy, Rush Zoro. So 3 cost, 5,000 body, no counter, but it has Rush, wins your game sometimes, which is really good. Also just helps you control the board really nicely. And then our final 2 cards of the deck, we are running 2 copies of Diable Jambe. So it is a 1 cost event. Activate main, select one of your Straw Hat type leaders or characters, and your opponent cannot activate blocker when they attack during this turn. So mainly going to be used as a finisher on your leader. We're running 2 because there's a bunch of search options that we have going in the deck. Buggy's the only one that can find this card, so sometimes we end up bottom decking on some searches, so which is why we're running 2 of them. Because yeah, really good against Law, really good against Black. Anything that likes to spam out a lot of blockers that are hard to remove, or just there's blockers everywhere. Strawbeard is out there with a bunch of blockers there as well, so really good into that matchup there as well. The trigger is you can KO one of your opponent's blockers with a cost of 3 or less, so dealing with a blocker there if you need to that way, but most of the time you want it in hand so you can activate it on your Zoro, attach all the dot underneath, swing for 15 and call it a day right there. Alright, there is the deck in all of its glory. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you are playing this build or something fairly similar, how it's been going for you. We'd love to hear what you think down in the comment section below. But thank you so much for checking out today's video. Stay beautiful, and we'll see you all in the next one.